Hey, I'm here with a list of demands. Follow the show wherever you listen. Subscribe, share, like, and comment on the show on YouTube. Follow any and all of my social media as well. All of the links are in the description. And finally, if you're a real fan, which most of you aren't, head on over to buymeacoffee.com, use the link in my description, and buy me a goddamn coffee. It supports the show, which is me. So you're supporting me. Now that you've successfully ignored that, go ahead and enjoy today's episode. Hello, everybody, and good morning. Thank you so much for tuning into the show today. It's Monday. Monday. I'm still sick. I don't know if I'll ever not be sick. I got these Hall's extra strong breath mints. Cough drops. I've never seen ones like that. But if you ever do have like a sore throat or something, these are the ones to get. They're like Bengay. It's like if you took icy hot and just fucking ate it. You know, that's what that shit is like. It's worse than the blue ones. The blue ones are those are bad, but those will fuck you up. I only get those. You know, I only get the ones that work. A lot of people, if they get cough drops, they're like, they don't taste good. It's like, bro, you're a dumb son of a bitch. Are you getting them to eat because you're a fat pig? You just want candy? Just get candy then. If you're just getting cough drops because they taste good, then just get candy. You know, that's just a lame form of candy. You want a cough drop because your fucking throat feels like a cat's been scratching, and that's what mine feels like. I woke up coughing all types of phlegm and fucking oof, dude. It's so annoying. I don't know why I just can't not be sick. But we got coffee, and it's Sunday morning for me. I got up very early. Not very early, but, I mean, I went to bed fairly early. I slept okay. I keep getting woken up to pee more than ever. More than ever. Waking up to go pee. And I've been trying not to drink anything before bed. And I don't think I did yesterday. And I got woken up to pee. And it sucks, dude. Pete, you don't realize how important sleep is when it comes to just overall recovery as a person, let alone trying to exercise. I've been fucking lifting the shit out of weights and doing cardio and all this shit, but I can't even trying to watch my diet a little more. Don't get me wrong. I'm not fucking, I'm not some athlete here. I'm very far removed from that world when I thought I was an athlete. Or when I was 18, guys, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel this way, from like 18 to 20, all I gave a fuck about was being in shape. That was it. All I ever gave a fuck about was being in shape. I could go to the gym. You have very little worries at that time compared to, there were worries, but it's like, oh, the girl I asked out said no. Like, who gives a fuck? You know how many more times that's going to happen? But anyway, from 18 to 20, all I gave a fuck about was going to the gym, staying in crazy shape, always ready to do anything all the time. And honestly, I think with the gyms closing with COVID, that kind of went away from my fucking mind. Another thing that I realized is back then when I used to exercise, I looked at it as my life depended on it. My entire life, everything I'm doing depends on me being in shape. And then I had like a weird awakening where all that shit went away, right? You guys know about it. When I left the first job and didn't know what I was going to do, then a pandemic hit. Now I'm a comedian and I do podcasts, both of which very low level and will probably never get past that point. But, to get to here, there was some kind of, there's a shift in your mind for anybody to change their course. There's a shift in their fucking mind one way or another. And I guess mine was associated with the idea that your life depends on nothing. We depend on life. You follow what I'm saying? We depend on life because we know it's finite. We're chasing it till the end. We need to get the most out of this bitch all the time. We need to you don't want to waste a life. And I'm the same way. I don't want to fucking, I will. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to. Sorry, guys. I don't want to. I don't want to do it. But I will waste my life. I will. I have no problem wasting a life, It's just like when your uncle that doesn't come around very often would beat you. And you're like, what ground does he have to stand on? He's barely here. He just gets to beat me. Or it could be anybody, right? That was a pretty specific situation. But it could be anyone, and they say, it hurts you more, it hurts me more than it hurts you, which is always a fucking lie, right? I don't want to do that to you. It hurts me more than it hurts you. You just beat my ass. What do you mean? It doesn't hurt you at all. You're fine. You won a one-sided contest. You're absolutely, you can fight again next month if you want. You're good. You can fight again tonight. You're like Khabib after he beat Michael Johnson. You could do whatever the fuck you want. I don't know how I got on this. Oh, wasting a life. You don't want to do that. We know life is finite and everyone's scared of what's next and there might not be something and So we depend on life. Life doesn't depend on anything. Life's going to keep going. After we're gone, life is still going to be fucking living. There's going to be living things still. And whether our living energy becomes something else or just dies with us, who the fuck knows? All I know is that there's more living to be done after we're here. So life doesn't depend on shit. However, maybe our mood or our necessities, our mind, right? Our mind depends on certain things. That might be a better way to say, And I think that's the way I'm trying to adopt now because I have obviously expressed on here my views and my philosophies, I guess, on living and the whole thing. And I still feel that way, but I also need to find a driving factor to get things done and to try and be in better shape and control my sleep, which is what we just got on. And I think that comes from realizing my life doesn't depend on it for those same reasons that I had just said, but my mind does. My mind, my sanity, my consciousness, my existence. Oof, man, my nose is bothering the hell out of me. I'm sorry. But right now, like I said, I'm sick, so my sleep is dog shit. My nose is stuffed. I'm coughing. What a fucked up thing being sick is. Oh. Thank God for cold and flu that we can buy at Walgreens. Because Lord knows we can't get health care, right? I mean, I'm almost out. Isn't that crazy? This is a time in my life, this is a time in everyone's life that their parents tell them about forever, right? Most people who have parents who have decent jobs are able to get insurance plans for everybody. They're able to get insurance plans for the whole house if need be. And but that wears off at 26. What a random fucking number. Why not 33? 33 is supposed to be like the age of Jesus Christ when he died. There's a Muslim one too, I think. Whatever. Why not make it 33? Why not make it 15? Like, why did they pick 26? 26, they should be old enough and established. They should have their own jobs, and they should have their own insurance. By 26, your life should be completely figured out and be set on a one-way path right to Boca Raton for the last 15 years of your life to waste your days in some casino, drinking, and spending what little money you don't plan on giving away to your ungrateful family that you worked all that time for. That's what you should be doing. By 26, you should be on a fast track to dying in a fucking beach town. Slowly passing away in a beach town. Oops, there's my alarm that was supposed to go off earlier. I apologize. But that's, I don't know, that's probably around the reasoning. And I feel like that number hasn't changed. I don't know when they decided that number. I'm not going to look it up. But ever since I was a kid, I remember adults talking about that shit. Yep, once you're 25, that's it. No more insurance after that. You know, it's just it's a strange arbitrary number, and it's a big it's a stress, right, for a lot of people. They're like, fuck, I'm gonna be off my parents' insurance soon. This isn't gonna be good. What am I gonna do? And I get sick, and I need to go to the doctor, and all this stuff. And what's funny is, I never go to the doctor anyway. Even when I am sick normally, and I have insurance, or if there's something wrong with me and I need to, like when I was shitting blood for a little while, I haven't done it in a while, which is good. That's a good sign. It's a very good sign. I was getting nervous because it happened a little too often. I was doing it in a way where I could tell that it was bloody, or it was blood. And I don't want to go too deep because it's disgusting. And it's Monday, and I'm hitting you guys with some heavy shit on a Monday. But I don't go to the doctor in the first place. But I know that as soon as I turn 26 in one day, right, on June 6th in 2023, I'm going to break a fucking ankle. I'm going to, something terrible is going to fucking happen to me. And, and it's nerve-wracking. I'm nervous just sitting here talking about it. I make fun of it, right? Most of the time, I don't even think about it. But I know, just putting that scenario in my head that I just said, like, what if I do break something? Like, but that's bad. You break something, you can't not go to the doctor. It's one thing if you're sick, you can put it off, right? Eventually you'll feel better, maybe. Unless you got like a fucking viral infection or some shit. And you wouldn't know that unless you went to the doctor. So, but I'm talking about like this, like me being sick right now. I'm not going to go to the doctor for this ever. I'm just going to go get more fucking cold medication. But I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. God forbid, I've never broken anything. But if it's going to happen, it's going to be after I'm, after I'm covered on insurance. So I won't have insurance, is my point. But that's just another number that controls our lives. Remember that a little while ago? I was talking about it on here. Where else would I have talked about it? About how numbers 26, there's another one. 26, and then the 27 Club. 27 Club. You can't join that club unless you've done something good. If you're just 27 and you died, people are like, wow, what a scumbag. That kid was 27 and he fucking died. I mean, he was probably troubled, or he did drugs, which is probably someone who's troubled if you overdose on drugs. There's something wrong with the kid. But if you're famous and you've done something good and long-lasting, 27 Club is a great... I mean, think about the famous people that are in it. I've talked about this already before, plenty of times, but they're all legendary people. You don't join that club for nothing, But anyway, enough about nonsense. Been going on about nonsense for a little while. I was offered a free ball waxing at work yesterday. You guys believe that? Free ball waxing. Asshole, gooch, the whole thing, she said. She said, I'll do it for free. It was at work, right? And I was going to a table. I'm like, anybody need anything? She goes, hey, listen, I got an idea. 3 other people at the table. One of them an elderly lady, sweetheart of a woman. I see her all the time. She always gives me a big hug. You're so handsome. I'm bringing you cookies next week. She's a small little woman. And she pounds Coors Lights. She throws them back, bro. She just sits there and drinks the fuck out of Coors Lights and bets horses with her husband. Her husband drinks Diet Cokes. He's not interested in the beer. She's pounding $4 Coors Lights. Bam, 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 all day. Little tiny woman. And they're there with, I think, 2 other horse racing guys and a woman who seemed to be there alone and was friends with them. And she says, like how women get bikini waxes, they wax everything. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a fan. And she goes, what do you think about guys? You think guys will do it? And I'm like, I would do it. And she's like, really? And we started getting into a conversation. And I think a couple weeks ago, if I haven't told you guys, I had a bartender that I work with offer to acupuncture my taint. I think I already talked about this, so I don't know if I want to go into it again. I'm getting a lot of offers from older women to do various things to my nether regions down there. None of which, are they could be facilitators to sexual intercourse, but both of them are married. It's none of that. I just don't mind being a guinea pig for science. I'm a scientist. I'm a practical scientist. I have love for the scientific method. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get some kind of hypothesis, right? To prove our hypothesis either correct or incorrect. I'm willing to go to any lengths, and if that means you need to wax my balls and asshole to find out if people will be into this, then I'm your guy. I even told her, I'm like, you can take pictures of it. Take pictures. Send it out to people. Make postcards. I used to put terrible things on those little cards you put on people's windshields at like a grocery store, like a supermarket. Sorry about that, gang. I had to blow my goddamn nose. I went and got some Kleenex. I mean, holy fuck. How annoying. But anyway, like I was talking about, you can get people on board with the ball waxing. You take pictures, right? I'll hold my nuts up. I got no problem. You show them, and you put them on windshields of people at, big populated areas. Like a plaza, a Target, and you walk around and you throw those in there, and you hand them out to people, and you say, hey, we're offering free for me because I'm the guinea pig. But everyone else, I told her I would pay no more than $50, but realistically more around like 30. I wouldn't go crazy. Because it could hurt worse, right? Like, it could hurt worse than a woman getting hers done. Just because, all that is sensitive. You wax something off, that shit hurts anyway. Get it? Wax something off. You do that, you rip the hairs out of somebody's body with glue and paper. That's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. But now you're doing it on my balls. I'm not super worried about, the asshole. Maybe the gooch isn't good either. That's not a good spot, right? Because ladies don't have much there. Theirs is much, much closer. You can just go like this, right? The devil horns, rock on. Just sideways, turn it sideways, and you're good, right? But anyway, not to get too filthy. On the balls, though, she's going to have to cup them, right? They're going to get nervous. They're going to hide. I don't know if it's going to be cold in the office. But oh, God, rip. What if she rips my balls open, bro? That might be the stupidest thing I've ever said out loud, but is that a thing that happens? Do people get their balls waxed? Am I going to be the fucking Neil Armstrong of ball waxing? I'm going to be the first guy to get his nuts. And then what if I'm the first guy to die by by a nutsack getting ripped open? They're just bleeding out. Just, I don't know if, you might not be the first guy that happens to, but in the circumstances, you'll be the first guy to get his balls waxed and ripped open. That might not be bad. That could be better than the existence that you're going to live. People will remember you. You'll get a headline somewhere. That woman will get a headline somewhere. My family will sue her for manslaughter. Because she didn't know, and I volunteered. But there'll be no proof. I'm not signing anything. Because if I do go, I want to at least make sure my family makes a little bit of money off of this small-town hairdresser that offered, probably as a joke, to wax my balls. And I said yes, and it turned out to be one of the most gruesome and disgusting just deaths to ever happen, right? It's like out of a Jeffrey Dahmer film. Come to think of it, that's probably something he would have done. The other day, I watched, not the other day, this was yesterday. I saw a video of an old Carlin bit. Not an old one. They're all old at this point. because he died in 2007. But it was about extreme human behavior, he called it. And it was about people who kill each other, right? How humans kill each other. We eat each other with cannibalism, torture, necrophilia, human sacrifice. These are all things that humans have done. Human sacrifice, they don't do too much anymore. They still do, but not as much as before. Wasn't as popular. Mass murder, like all these things, these savage fucking things that we do. And it really puts into perspective how crazy of an accomplishment it is that we savage beasts are able to live somewhat, collectively, somewhat in a state of togetherness, as far away as we are from that, because there's so many of us and we're so massive. The point I'm trying to make is, knowing what human beings are capable of, it's insane that we trust each other to drive cars. Right? Knowing that a human being could just snap one day and run people over, which happens, right? Happens. People do snap and do crazy shit, and sometimes it's behind the wheel of an automobile, okay? Knowing how irresponsible humans are to drink and drive, which, by the way, is a lot of fun. Say what you will, but driving after you've been drunk is like a video game. It's great. I mean, I don't want to denounce people who have died or people who have lived and lost their quality of life, whether it being in jail or being injured in a way that you can't walk or you lost a limb or some shit like that. But I will say that as a person who has driven drunk, there's been a couple times, I wouldn't even say a handful of times, a couple times where I didn't enjoy it. I'm just saying, and I know I'm not the only one that holds this belief. I know that there's people out there who are like, I like it too. Fuck you. It's fun. This is America. We need our freedoms. But back to the original point. Back to the original point of the crazy shit that we do. And I think I started thinking about this when I brought up Jeffrey Dahmer and why we enjoy these kinds of things. Because right now I'm working on a bit about serial killing, and it was derived from an episode I did on here, the World Leaders episode. And I'm working on a bit kind of in that same vein. And I think the reason why we're so drawn to these things and we love to hear, we almost relish in hearing about other, like, bad things happening in other countries. We're almost like, wow, that's awful. That's terrible. Thank God we live here. Thank goodness. Thank goodness we're over here and they are over there. And we can't help them and we won't help them. And even if we had the option to help them, we wouldn't. In fact, we're probably making it worse actively. We're actively making it worse by consuming all the shit that they go into these countries to, set up for, right? Consuming the shit like oil, right? Oil being used to make everything, driving your car around, buying fucking anything made of plastic. That's us actively digging into that shit. And I'm not saying that those times where we look at those other countries are necessary. Not every time is America's fault. Sometimes we're looking at, Ukraine. Look at them. This is insane. This is, we can't believe it. But we're over here on a couch. We're on a big couch here in America. We're all just sitting, waiting. We think we're absolutely invincible. We don't think that anybody's going to come up in here and fuck with us when it very well could happen. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but we look way past it. We look way past it. But we almost we look at these moments of savagery with mixed emotions, right? There's parts that are interesting, and I'm talking about all the media. I'm not talking about just the news. I'm talking about the entertainment that we consume. We love movies where people get fucking murdered. We love Tarantino movies. We love horror movies. We love documentaries about serial killers and documentaries about people who, cult leaders who do sick, fucking twisted shit. We give these people the shine because the people producing these things, know that we enjoy them. We enjoy them because it's built in us to enjoy them. We're sick motherfuckers. We are. We're somewhat civilized, right? There's parts of us that are civilized, but it's on a very basic level. It's on a very communal, don't say the wrong thing to this guy. He's not hurting nobody. We can be civilized in ways. Let this person go in the grocery line because they only have two things that they're buying. But when we're alone, we turn into animals, right? You let that person go in front of you in the grocery store, and then you're in your car. Fuck, god damn it, I'm going to be late. It's all because that stupid bitch guilted me in a fucking, god fucking day. And you turn into a fucking animal again sometimes. Not all the time. I'm not saying this is everybody, and I'm not saying that this is all the time. I'm saying that we are capable of savagery still. We still are. And if you don't think that we are, if you think that we're in a completely civilized society, I got news for you. There's people getting killed right now by other people for probably nothing, right? Probably nothing. It's probably nothing. The only time you can kill somebody is if they try to kill you or someone you love. That's the only time I think you should be able to kill a motherfucker. Or if they did a lot of killing and they were a bad fucking person or whatever, then sure, fuck it, kill them. Whatever. The death penalty is kind of a touchy subject. It's been for a long time. Who says we get to kill that guy? And I've wrestled with it myself. But as I'm sitting here right now talking to you, there are times where taking another person's life is probably justified. And it's never a time that involves pleasure. Okay? If you're a person that kills for pleasure or kills for money or kills for country none of that is good. None of it is good. I mean, if you're put in a position where you're forced to, like a soldier, then it's like, it's you can't help it. I understand, whatever. It's still not good that it's happening, though. Like, people will say, well, our country fights for our freedoms. Our military fights for our freedoms. That's where these countries go to war. They got to fight for each other. They got to fight. There's things that we want, and there's things that they have, and we need to... That's not justified. In my mind, 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4 when you're trying to explain that shit to me. We need to fight. War is necessary for there to be peace. Not true. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know if... I feel like that's just something people say. I feel like that's a cliche thing that people say... to defend murdering people, to defend the expanse of our empire. We're not big enough. We don't have hands in every fucking little greedy pot all over this fucking blue ball that we're spinning on. We're not into everything. We're not into it enough. We need to do more. And it's really just a testament to the dominator society that we live in. Let me blow my nose again so you don't have to hear my fucking nostrils. The dominator culture, the society. More about that in 2 seconds after I blow my big, fat, ugly red nose. Whew. Look at that, unedited. We're not taking that out. Maybe I will. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's fucked up. It's fucked up, but I think that I got to the root of why we enjoy those kinds of things. Why we enjoy those... we find them entertaining. Isn't that kind of sick? Isn't that kind of fucked up? That we find those things that I'm part of it. I love that shit. I think it's great. Serial killers and crazy world leaders that do crazy shit. Yeah, I love it. I want to hear about it because it's part of the human condition. It's part of human history. Of course, I want to read. I want to consume. I was always into serial killers ever since I was a kid. Serial killers and psychopaths and fucking crazy people that do crazy shit. Always been a fan. But I'm like everyone else. It's hardwired into me. I like all that shit, you know? I like edgy stuff. I hate when people are commercial. If you come around me talking about Taylor Swift and fucking, what else? Saturday Night Live. I don't know. I don't like people that do the same shit as other people. I like when I meet somebody that does some shit different. They're different than everybody else, including me. You follow what I'm saying? Obviously the people I don't know, the people you really enjoy being around, you guys have similar interests. But when I meet somebody, I don't want to hear them say, something dumb. I don't want to hear someone say something fucking, out of there's this there's someone that I'm thinking of specifically. There's this kid that does comedy. I'm not going to say his name. But he does it in the same area that I do it. And he talks a lot, right? Like, he might be funny, but he says a lot of shit. He talks shit. And I heard him talking about the blue-collar comedy guys, right? Larry the Cable Guy, Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, Ron White. And I think it's a general consensus that Ron White might be, he's like one of the last of the Mohicans. He's a legitimate fucking stand-up. He's a legitimate stand-up. He didn't want to do shows or movies or any of that shit. Obviously, Jeff Foxworthy's the mastermind who put that together. He had the Blue Collar TV show. He was a comic for years. He's a savant. Okay, he was Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? All these things. Bill Engvall, he tried to do shows, or he tried to do a TV show. And Larry the Cable Guy obviously was a huge personality for years and years. I had fucking underwear with him on them. I had a pair of boxers with him on them that said, "Get her done in the ass," okay? I fed into it. I loved it, okay? Maybe I'm a little biased. But I agree with the sentiment that Ron White is mainly because I saw him and I know that he's in the stand-up comedy circle because I know he's on all their podcasts, the big comedians podcasts, Segura and Kreischer and fucking Joe Rogan and everybody. I know that he's on those shows. And he's still in that realm of straight stand-up comedy, and he talks about it in a way that I never wanted to be anything else but a stand-up comedian. Didn't want to do movies, didn't want to do none of this stuff, didn't want to do any of that shit. So, okay, I can agree with that. But this kid, he goes and says, he's the only funny one. He's the only one that's good. And I said, wait a second. You might be funny. You might be good. Okay? These guys achieved a level of success that is so rare, so incredibly rare, so damn near impossible to achieve. You follow what I'm saying? They had, I don't know what the records were, I don't know what it was, but they made so much money. They got tons of recognition. Their special became a fucking movie. They did 2 of them. And you could go see them in theaters. They did tours. They were massive. They were the biggest fucking... They were huge at one point. You couldn't go on Comedy Central on any given night and not find the Blue Collar Comedy Tour at some point. Do you follow what I'm saying? It's just like people who shit on Larry the Cable Guy. And, his real name is this. He doesn't even sound like that. That's a character. Who gives a fuck? He's selling out football stadiums. He's making more money than fucking anyone that you know. And most importantly, he's funny. They're not even Bill Engvall, who I'm not even a huge fan of. And he also did the Country Fried Movies. I forgot about, or not Country Fried Movies. It was like a Home Fried Video or some shit. Country Fried Videos. It was like a fails thing, like ridiculousness. I forgot Bill Engvall did that. But I used to like Bill Engvall when I was a kid. I don't know if I like him so much now. I didn't see his newest special. I'm not sure if I'd be the biggest fan. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't give a fuck. It doesn't, like, they're funny. They're all funny. They have to be funny to get to that fucking level. For you who's sitting in this dump that I'm in as well, literally a dump, right? There's this bar that does an open mic, and it's literally 7 or 8 comics. Nobody's in there. It's one room. It's a big fucking not big. It looks like a fucking a VFW hall. It looks like the upstairs at a VFW hall. It's a cash only bar. It's in an absolute dump of a town. It is a shitty fucking place, and we're all here at an open mic on a Monday night, just trying to find a sliver of fucking a particle of the success that any one of those guys have found. That's what we're trying to do. We don't even think that is possible. I don't think that's possible. Think about that. That's an incredible fucking feat. People don't understand that. People look at guys who get to that point and they're like, yeah, well, I mean, that's... they almost like write it off. It's almost like commonplace. Like it's not rare. Like it's not a massive fucking event that you were so fucking good that you got an hour, you got a special, okay, that's getting filmed and it's going to be in a movie theater, okay? That's Richard Pryor. That's Eddie Murphy. That's fucking Ron White, Larry the Cable Guy, Bill Engvall, and Jeff Foxworthy Blue Collar Comedy Tour. That's Kings of Comedy, Bernie Mac and D.L. Hughley and fucking Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer, I think. Is that... I think that's everybody. Oh, my God. So sorry. This is a hard episode to get through just because of how... Oh, my God. My nose is bothering me. My throat, I'm like trying not to cough this whole time while I'm talking. But, if you're... The whole reason I went on that fucking tirade, that rant just then. If you're that type of person who can look at somebody who is in a absolutely more advantageous position that you could ever possibly be in and still have some kind of criticism for them, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be around. I don't know if I want to be around with you. You follow what I'm saying? I don't know if I... Like, it's just like when people criticize fighters or they, criticize an athlete. That's one of the biggest ones, right? Criticize an athlete. And while you're sitting on the couch, while you did... And I've been known to shit on athletes. I've been known to, make fun of them a lot and say that they're dumb and they've only done one thing their entire life. And when they retire, they'll have nothing to rely on, so they'll spiral. And I still believe all those things. But you can't deny the focus that it takes to become a professional athlete. You can't deny the focus and the money it takes. But you can't deny the work that gets put in to becoming a professional at a child's game. Just like becoming a professional at a child's practice of making big groups of people laugh. Because that's what it is, really. They're both childish fucking things that, for whatever reason, people like to see and criticize, of course. And there's a lot of money behind it. At the highest level. But here's the thing. You can be a middling comic and still, make money, still be on the road and be able to pay your bills. You can be a middling comic. You can't be a middling athlete, I suppose you could. Like, you're on the bench, you get traded. I suppose you could. You can make a good living. And it's like people shit on Brian Scalabrine. Motherfucker's got a ring. He was in the NBA. Like, shut your motherfucking mouth. Anybody that shits on athletes or any of that stuff in a way that, like, I shit on them for being dumb and doing playing a game and making more money than people who are doing jobs that are more important than them, right? But I could say the same thing about actors. I could say the same thing about entertainers in any facet, any of that shit. So, that's what I make fun of them of. I make fun of ideas. I make fun of I broad brush. That's what I do. I make fun of the whole fucking lot of them across the board. But people who never, that's why Stephen A. Smith bothers the fuck out of me. Stephen A. Smith bothers the fuck out of me, not only because he's annoying, not only because his voice is fucking annoying, because that is part of it too, but sports talk and sports radio, if there's not someone on there that played professional sports, that played the sport that you guys are talking about, I'm really not interested. I'm really not interested. I know you can be an expert. I know you can be a person who knows a lot about the sport, okay? And you can talk about things, you can critique things, and you can whatever. And there's journalists, and the whole thing. I don't know if you have a leg to stand on when it comes to critiquing a performance, or it comes to, I mean, if you're an athlete who's done it, then you just have more of a leg to stand. You have more credibility. Now, that's just me. I mean, everybody, sports commentary or sports, what's the word? It's not commentary. I don't know. Sports shows, talk radio, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Critics. Sports critics, maybe? It's huge. People want to hear about it. It's a great way to get media out. It's a great way to do the whole thing. But I'm just not in the camp that enjoys listening to that. I'm not. I don't really want to hear a guy who has a degree in talking and happens to really enjoy the sport and know a lot about the sport. That's cool. You could be an expert. But it's like schools. It's like professors in schools. A lot of professors in universities, they never go out in their field. Not all of them, but a lot of them. A lot of them don't have any professional experience. They've been teachers their whole time. They've been teachers. Those that don't teach. They've been teachers. You follow? The best teachers are the ones who worked in whatever the fuck that they're teaching, and then now they're a little older or whatever, and now they want to teach. It's a little easier. It's probably fulfilling in a certain way, right? You're able to tell people, share your knowledge. Those are the best kinds of teachers because they don't need to teach. They just feel compelled, right? Like I had a professor who was, I think it was accounting 2, one of my favorite professors. Did a great job getting the class involved and conveying this material that was more or less boring, right? Accounting class. A lot of people have had to take it, whether they're a business major or they took it in high school. It's not a big difference, just tougher problems, tougher questions, whatever. This guy did a really good job of engaging the class. He didn't take no shit. If you're on your phone, you're getting kicked out. I looked forward to going to his class. And it was a long, if I remember correctly, it might have been an hour and a half. They had these weird blocks at CCRI. But you could tell the guy was knowledgeable. He could be funny every once in a while, like by accident. He told us a story about, he started telling us about, I think they're called Sigma belts. They're like achievement awards that you can get in an office environment, certain Sigma. And I think it goes all the way up to black or some shit like that. It might be like martial art fucking belts. I don't know. I don't remember. You guys can fact check that. But I remember him telling us about it. And then going off he might have started the class with this story where he's like, back 10 years ago when I was teaching at this school, they had free karate classes. And I remember taking karate, and the instructor had a black belt. that black belt didn't mean anything because he ended up killing himself. He shot himself in the head. He like opened with that. But he's like, we're not going to talk about black belts today, not karate black belts. We're going to talk about Sigma belts or some shit. It was hilarious. It was like, what? Because prior to that, he was just this older man, old guy who fucking came in, didn't give a fuck about what you were thinking about or what the case was. You were going to learn. And this guy had a way of getting it through to you. And I was such a fan. And he, at one point, was a CPA. And I think he was still a CPA while he was teaching. I think he ran like a little private practice. But that's the person I want to learn from. That's the person I want to learn. Now, fast forward to Rick, to Rhode Island College, when I was at Rhode Island College, and I was doing my major, okay, finance. I had a teacher who legitimately said to us, I have no professional experience. She might have said she had an MBA or a doctorate or something. She had a pretty high-level degree in finance. And I remember just being like kind of dumbfounded because this woman would talk a million miles a minute. But I shouldn't say dumbfounded. I think I was... I think it made sense, actually, now that I think about it, because she would just fly through material, make us like probably the same way that she took in material, you know? And she had good ideas, right? Like we had to come in with a piece of news, financial news to talk about and whatever else. And that was interesting. But for the most part, she was a woman who never had any professional experience. That's the way she put it. I'm not the one saying that. She said, I never really went and got a job in finance. I was always just a teacher, academia. And when you're in that, then there's very little, exposure to other shit. My point being is I don't know how other people feel, but I don't want to hear advice. I don't want to hear critiques. I don't want to hear any of that shit from somebody who isn't at the level, who's never performed at the level or engaged at the level of someone who did whatever it is that you're critiquing. Did it, like actually did it, knows the ins and outs, and done it for a while. That's the most important part. There's a difference between an athlete who's done it for 5 years and an athlete who's done it for 15 years. And I'm talking about at the pro level, right? Bypass the years let's just take football as an example. Bypass flag to all the way until the NFL, right? You get accepted to the NFL, you get picked, and now you're 5 years in. You're better than the rookie, right? But there's another motherfucker over there that's been here for 15 years. And he might be a little older, and it might not translate in terms of physical sport, but that motherfucker knows. He knows. That's the guy I want to listen to. He's on his way out, okay? And then when that mind is done, when the mind and body aren't working anymore, now the mind is overtime. Now it's going overtime. And that's the same thing for teachers and professors. When they're out of whatever their field was, and now their focus before it used to be mind and body, right? You got to put both of them together, even if you're an accountant, right? You got to be able to put both of them together and do the thing, that's the body, and then obviously the knowledge is in your mind. Now, you're a teacher, and you need to get that body energy out and get it out to these students. So, to me, that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear Stephen A. Smith screaming and yelling, from his couch. You follow what I'm saying? That's what I like about the UFC. UFC gets fighters to talk about fights. They get fighters to commentate fights. I like that a lot. And the personalities that are there are just there to kind of facilitate the conversation. And they obviously know very much of what's going on. And they're well educated, but they don't overstep their boundaries, I find. And I don't watch a ton of MMA media in terms of like organized ESPN media. But I mean, there's plenty of guys who critique that shit, and it's good sometimes. You need to raise awareness, like Steve Domenico here in New England. He's always critiquing how CES fighters get dogged when they go to the UFC because they fight bums in CES. They get padded records and they do all this shit, and then they go in the UFC Contender Series or they get signed to a contract or whatever, and they get fucked up. And he might be right about that. And that's not necessarily, it's a critique on one side. Listen, there's always good and there's bad in every discipline, right? There's good fighters and there's bad fighters and there's good comedians and there's bad comedians. But to again, be on the sidelines and tell a person that's going in a cage or getting on a stage or sitting at a desk that they're doing something the wrong way, but they're the one who's doing it, you need to shut the fuck up. You're not there in the moment. You're not there in the moment. Oh, you should have zigged when you zigged when you should have zagged. Why didn't you do it this way? Because I was there, motherfucker. A lot more things are happening. People like Kamaru Usman, oh my God, he made that one mistake. Yeah, yes, he did. I mean, what the fuck do you want? How did he not see that coming? Of course he didn't see it coming. Because Leon picked the perfect fucking time. A whole bunch of things happened in that. But people sitting there, oh, God, this guy, oh, he's done. People want to argue. People want to fucking immediately shit on somebody for doing something that caused them to lose. Like they've never done that. Like you've never gotten too drunk at a family party and looked stupid in front of your wife's family. You remember when you did that? What about that? That's not good. That's not a good thing. You remember when you got real high, you smoked a bunch of weed, and you forgot to pick your kid up from school? You only get to see him twice a week, every other week. You really got fucked in family court. You pay a lot of money, and you don't even get to see your kid, but you don't really care either. But you do need to spend a little time, but you got high and you didn't pick up your kid. That's a lot. That's kind of a lot worse than a dropped pass. That's a lot worse than losing a championship or any of that shit. Because you forget, these guys still get paid. They still get paid lots of money. They don't give a fuck how much money you bet on them. They don't give a fuck how much gear you have. They don't give a fuck about any of that shit. All they care about is that fucking shkarol that's coming in. The life that these guys get to live, we should not be on the sidelines saying anything. We should just be enjoying. We should just be watching and fucking enjoying and let them do whatever the fuck they want because we already have. We've already given them that luxury of doing whatever the fuck they want. Their life is doing whatever the fuck they want. Their job is to play a game. Their job is to stay in shape and play a game. Think about if every morning all you had to worry about when you woke up, all you had to worry about, go to the gym, lift some weights, shoot a basketball, right? And, hang out with your team, get some work done with your team, and then at the end of the week, you play a big game. You play a big game, and the whole time, people are paying you money to wear their sneakers and to wear their pants and to hold their product in a picture, and then there's people asking you questions, and you can answer them however you want, and some guys take advantage of that, some guys don't. They don't want to talk and whatever. And then when you're not doing that, imagine that was your life. All you had to do was stay in shape and play a game at the end of the week, or play a couple games throughout the week. I mean, you're literally living, and you're getting paid. You're living in a fantasy land because you're doing that and getting paid more money than anybody that's doing anything important. What about the guys that jump out of planes and put out forest fires? What are those? Those guys don't get paid shit. The guys that do smoke jumps? The guys that live out in the fucking woods, in the smoldering woods? What about them? They don't get paid much money. That's a tough fucking job. You want to know why? Because nobody's buying tickets. Nobody wants to watch these guys do that. Nobody's going to tune into a pay-per-view of a bunch of people digging mile-long ditches so that the fire goes into them and they can easily put it out. Nobody is trying. Nobody wants to see that. You follow? That's why. Nobody's paying tickets to watch heart bypasses. You follow? Way more important jobs, way more important. But these people still need to go to work every day. They got to do far tougher things than play a game. Even if the game is fighting. How do you guys like that one? Even if the game is fighting. The game that I love combat sports. You guys know that. I could give a fuck about other sports for the most part. I enjoy them. I respect them. But when it comes to sitting down and watching, I will watch fights. However, last night I fell asleep. I put a bunch of bets in. I started losing. I said, fuck this, I'm going to bed. And I really only won 2 out of the 7 bets that I put in. Lost a little bit of money. Not the end of the world. Anyway, even that, I mean, you're getting paid $12,000 to fight a guy at the lowest level. If you come in, you get signed to the UFC, it's what, 12 and 12. 12 to fight, 12 to win. That's $24,000 if you win. You do that 3 times in a year, that's almost $75,000, okay? That's pretty fucking good. You train, you stay in shape, you compete 3 times in a year, you get paid, more money than a teacher that's taught at an inner city for 20 years. Right? You get more of that, you get more record. And that doesn't, that doesn't count all the other shit that comes with it. The free shit, the sponsorships, the special treatment, right? The existence in life, to be able to do whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't even compare to a doctor that's on call 365 days a year. Might have to leave his family on Christmas to save a dying child or something, right? The story we've all heard. Far tougher jobs than walking on a stage for 30 minutes a night, getting paid, $1,000, whatever the fuck you're getting paid, getting to travel, living in other places. Again, sponsorships, the more recognition you get, whatever. It is... It's obviously completely disproportionate. But again, nobody's buying tickets for these other things, these other hard jobs. There's plenty of hard jobs. Anyone want to go watch guys work on an oil rig? No. Those guys make a lot of money, though. Those guys do make a lot of money. They get a lot of time off. But they work like dogs. They work like dogs, guys. Anybody want to go watch cow ranchers? No. Nobody wants to go see these things. That's why they don't make any money. So here's the thing. If you... one of the main commodities in this country is fame, and I've talked about this before, and entertainment value. So if you want to build your industry in any way, you need to start finding ways to get asses in seats. You got to be able to put asses in seats. If you want to get a pay raise, if you want to make a little bit more money, then you need to, if you want to start getting pay-per-view points, you need to start selling tickets to your sales meetings. That's it. You need to start selling tickets to your baby delivering. When you're delivering a baby, you need to have a live stream. You need to have people paying money, a Patreon, something. Entertainment value. Do you want to build your industry or not? Do you want to people complain. I just spent 15 minutes complaining about how athletes and entertainers have way easier jobs and get paid way more money than anybody that does anything remotely tough, right? Anything that requires, work. Real fucking mind-numbing, soul-draining. Not saying that those other people don't work, but I'm talking about extensive fucking, day in, day out, life-changing fucking jobs. Jobs that are required that people don't want to do. If you are in one of those fields and you want to start getting paid, stop fucking complaining. Start selling tickets. Start selling tickets. As a fireman, you're a fireman. Hey, there's going to be, you get a call to the thing. You guys, there's a fire down Midtown. All right. Call all your buddies. Call everybody. Put a fucking ad out. Do an Instagram live and say, hey, there's a big fire down here. Huge fire. If you want to come watch, we'll be selling tickets. If not, we got security. You hire security, the whole thing. People will show up. People will show up and they'll start paying money. You can get a gate, right? Like a boxing gate, a pay-per-view gate. Break that, however many in attendance, and that's what the fuck you're gonna do. If you want to get ahead, you got to sell tickets. You got to have entertainment value. Entertainment value is everything. It's everything. That's why nobody likes this show, because it's barely entertaining. It's barely on the... It's very... it's weird, because I get these analytic updates about, like, my ranking of this show in other countries, and it's funny. Like, I'm like 60s... I'm like in the 70s or something, or the 60s, in Belgium for like comedy pie. It's so stupid. It's like, I mean, where do they even get this information? It's probably nothing, and they're just putting me on the hook and making me feel better about this shit show that I run. But that's what it is. If you want to further your industry, you got to sell tickets, guys. You can't be bitter. We can't be bitter about it anymore. We can't be bitter about it anymore. That's why I'm diving into an industry that is already built on that. It's built on finding the next big thing, squeezing all the juice out of it, exploiting it as much as possible, and then throwing it away like a used condom. Throwing it away, not even in the garbage, just against the wall, sticks to the wall, and slides down slowly like in a grotesque fucking horror movie. And I want to be that. I want to be that. I want to be that next thing that gets used and abused, signs shitty contracts, gets robbed, but only after I've spent a decade trying really hard to get really good and get a good opportunity. Then I want it to all be squandered by a bad manager and poor money management and no investing and not setting myself up for the future at all. That's what I want to be. I want to be like the modern day Elvis. I want to break down the doors on how bad you can be as an entertainer, how badly managed you can be as an entertainer. I want to be worse than Hendrix and Morrison and all these other guys that were just nightmares, just horror stories of their management teams and just screwing them and the whole fucking nine. That's what I want. That's what I want, and that's what I'm gonna get. But in the meantime, I will be making money for a really stupid thing that isn't that important, regardless of what people say. We need comedians. We do. Yeah. I mean, if comedians stopped tomorrow, people would be like, "Oh, what happened?" At least the new season of Catching Up with the Kardashians is on. At least there's a new serial killer documentary. At least people in other countries are doing worse than us. And on that note, thank you guys for fucking listening. It's a Monday. Came at you heavy, straight off the dome. Nothing too prepped for this one. Really none of that. The only thing that I was thinking of before this episode was the ball waxing. So I don't know. Who gives a fuck, really? Thank you guys for listening. I have no dates. It's almost the end of the year. No. January 5th, I'm going to be at Comics Roadhouse in Mohegan. Can't wait to bomb in front of all my coworkers. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for playing along. I'm going to talk to you on Thursday. Peace. Oh, me again. Follow the show. Subscribe on the YouTube. Buy me a coffee. Use the links. Bye-bye.